Hello everyone, this is Lawrence. I just completed one video of thrift store finds and garage sale finds of CDs, music CDs, and I'll be posting it by the time I'm making this video, or by the time you see this video, the CD video will also be posted as well, so you can enjoy both of them. Um, I wanted to get these videos out of the way so I can go ahead and library this stuff. So the CD portion, the CD video is done, and I'm making the vinyl finds, what I found at thrift stores. The first album is jazz musician Donald Byrd, and this album is called Characters. Um, Came out in like 1978. It's a little confusing because this cover was also used for a greatest hits album. But this is a studio album that not a part of a few tracks from here may be part of that greatest hits, but this is a separate studio album. And one of the members, guitars on here, Bernard Bill Lloyd Taylor, worked with Earth, Wind and Fire and wrote the hit Getaway. This album is not so much jazz. I call it kind of jazz funk, or funk jazz, with the emphasis more on the funk side of the that kind of music that was popular in the mid to late 70s. It's on Blue Note. The vinyl is in excellent condition, and I got it Goodwill for $2. So happy to have this. The next album is a Robert Craig's first album. It was originally released on Tomato, recorded in 1980, and then reissued on Atlantic. And I really like this album because it's very stripped down. Later, his albums got a little bit more production to it. This is a Paul McCartney single that's been put on full album with different mixes. And I'll hold it up. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Which was a track from his Flowers in the Dirt. And it's more of a instrumental type. And you have 3 different mixes here. So this is really cool. I have a number of albums from this next artist. And this is a compilation. Sandy Nelson, he's still alive last time I checked. He was an instrumental drummer. Along the same lines, in other words, he did for drums what the Ventures, the group The Ventures, did for surf guitar music, okay? And he's really underrated, but this is a later reissue on Liberty Records. Beautiful condition it is in, of some of his best tracks. This is a real good album. The only problem, it has David Rose, the stripper, which doesn't really fit in, and nobody should record the stripper but David Rose. So this is really cool. The Ohio Express, I got some yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy. Although I don't think that hit is on here. Beg, Borrow, and Steal, which is really a rip-off of another song, Louie Louie. This album was recorded actually by other musicians. It's kind of one of those the monkey deals, okay? And I got it because it has the very time period album cover. It's on the funk label, Cameo. And it just has that very, 1960s period bubblegum sound to it. This was really a nice find at Goodwill, where I found um, um, Donald Byrd, and I paid $2 each for these, which was worth it. And of course, we had the recent documentary, Ken Burn documentary, Country Music, and this artist was featured on that documentary, not only in presenting them as a big artist of country music, but also in interviews where he talks about other artists in country music and how he was influenced. And this is Ricky Skaggs' first album, 1979 release, with Emmylou Harris on it. And of course, he was a member of her touring band. This is on Sugar Hill Records. Beautiful condition, shrink wrap still on it. And this is has more of a country sound, country music. But a very good album. Later, he found his really voice and calling with bluegrass, and this 1989 release is more in that vein. Kentucky Thunder, and on the backside, Ricky with his band on the cover, and right there is actually Bill Monroe, the father of country music. So, the torch has been passed, and, Ricky has since, he did the mainstream country music thing for a while, but now does bluegrass. He's a bluegrass artist, That's where he really found his footing. Okay. Continuing on, this is a compilation. Bill Justin, who wrote the hit "Raunchy," okay, and this is great condition, still in shrink wrap. It's like brand new. So it's instrumental guitar music with kind of a surf twist, and of course his hit "Raunchy" is on here, which is a big instrumental hit, and that was the song that got George Harrison into the Beatles when he auditioned for in front of John Lennon playing that song. So that song has kind of a historical significance. It was in Richmond at a store called Diversity Thrift Store, and picks up some really, really, really cool stuff. Never had this album. Very, very popular album, live album, and gatefold 2-album set. The album's in very good condition. Cover has a few minor issues, so I got this for 50 cents. Diversity charges 50 cents for their albums. So this is really cool. I actually just heard a few tracks on the radio, so I got a chance to really take this album in. An artist who's in some controversy right now, but we won't go into that. Domingo, early 80s release, 1983, so whatever issues he's in, controversy, that's, let that play out, but I'm going to enjoy the music. I actually had this album, but Diversity, I found another copy of it where the vinyl is in better condition than the the copy I have right now. James Taylor's classic album, Sweet Baby Jane. Classic album. The cover's in horrible condition. We're an American band, but the vinyl's in beautiful condition. I actually found like a great condition copy of this album that was on some kind of marble vinyl, but I ended up giving it to a friend who was looking for that album. I gave it to him because he has helped me out on so much stuff. He's a vinyl buddy of mine, and we go out to the thrift stores and search for vinyl. And he was very instrumental on thrift store finds of high quality stereo equipment, and reestablishing my high-end stereo system in so I can listen to all these great records. And he set it up, placement of the speaker, provided his expertise knowledge of how to set it up, and the settings on it and all that. He even balanced my cartridge on the turntable. I mean, he had done so much and got me a lot of great records. So I had to give him that copy because he was looking for it. And he found this for me. So it all works out. Okay. A few other things. This is on really an obscure label, 3-record set of Spike Jonze. He was primarily a band leader who did wacky comedy music. Just go to YouTube and Google him and you can hear some of that. This is a 3 CD set. It's on the 1977 MF Distribution Company, released by arrangement with the estates of Spike Jonze, with special thanks for Spike Jr. and his mom, Helen, who gave their assistance and blessing for this release. So some wacky stuff to listen to. And, oh, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. Pull it out. The Giants of Jazz series, which is a series of box sets of the great jazz artists, particularly big band era. And I do have really good box sets of big band era music, but I don't have the Giants of Jazz. But I ran into this, which is part of that collection of Giant of Jazz, of Duke Ellington. The only thing, it didn't have the cover that went over this, where it houses the albums, but it had everything out. It had this is a Time Life production, okay, right there. It had the 3 albums in mint, beautiful condition. It had the informative booklets with texts in it and pictures, all here. And what was also included was this, I don't know what you call this, art, okay, and some additional information. But it has everything except the slip-on cover that houses the vinyl. 50 cents. How can I go wrong? Happy to find this album. John Fogerty, center field. This was his very successful re-entry into music, 1985. The album went to #1. It had a number of hits, Center Field and The Old Man Down the Road. But the entire album's really good. It's only him playing everything, you know. So this was kind of a comeback, and he had put out a number of really good albums since then. A lot of people think of him, Creedence Clearwater Revival, which is classic, but they should check this album out. Another one, Full Swamp Fever. I forgot the title, okay, but just Google his solo work and a number of other albums. So, and this is in beautiful condition. It sounds great. This is David Clayton Thomas before he got with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I haven't listened to this yet, so I'm looking forward to. I think I sampled it, and it's still a lot of horns on it, of him doing covers I got a woman say, who's been talking, call it Stormy Monday, Tobacco Road, Boo Boob, Good Lovin', doing all covers, Howling for My Darling, Poison Ivy. So this is cool. It's on the Decca Rainbow label. And lastly, I got a series of albums by Bill Black and his combo. Bill Black played bass, in the early Elvis band with Scotty Moore, and he put out a series of instrumental albums, and I have a number of them, so this is the latest collection. I just love this artwork, and the music is very basic, boom, 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 but it has a charm to it, it's very basic, but it really hits the spot. To conclude, a yard sale. I already had this album, but I saw it for 50 cents. And the vinyl's in excellent condition. Greatest Hits on the Radio, Volume 1 and 2. So 50 cents, I went ahead and brought it again. And the vinyl might be a little bit better shape, but it's still in shrink wrap and had this promotional sticker on it as well, Barbra Streisand. So just for 50 cents alone with the sticker, it was worth getting. And lastly, a movie that came out in the late 70s. Wasn't a very good movie, but it did have a really cool soundtrack, and that's FM. Of all the hits of that time, like Steve Miller, Fly Like an Eagle, Boston, More Than a Feeling, Doobie Brothers, Keeping It Running, The Eagle Life in the Fast Lane, just, greatest hits from that time of the cool rock bands that were popular. Billy Joel, Just the Way You Are. And Tom Petty, Breakdown, which he's actually in the movie, a very young Tom Petty. So happy to have that. So I found some really interesting albums at the Diversity Thrift Store of independent indie artists that were unopened or hardly ever played, more recent releases. So I'm going to do a separate video on that as well. But wanted to show these off and get them libraried. So please leave a comment. Whatever you want to say is good. Just keep it civil. I enjoy vinyl record collecting. I got so much now that if I die first, my wife is going to have a field day selling these on Discogs or eBay. Thank you so much for watching, and you all have a great Thanksgiving that's coming up. Bye-bye. Take care.